has been home all 3 games in the month of February. Their last road game was January 29th at SMU. Now they're traveling across country, off a game on Saturday, and I'll tell you what, these kids are going to be in awe walking into Cameron Indoor Arena for the first time. It's going to be a crazy scene, especially for a fired up Dukies crowd playing off the loss. Now, Cal has played a very weak schedule. I already talked how weak the ACC is, but during the non-conference schedule, they started off 6-1 this season, but they played a very weak non-conference schedule, number 254. Now that the competition has gotten better, in their last 4 games, Cal has averaged only 35% shooting. Cal is 4-1 as a double-digit dog, but they're only 2-3 away off a home game, and they're only 1-4 in the first half. Duke off a loss. If you go back in the last 3 years with Shearer here as the head coach, they're 6-1 ATS off a loss. They are playing great ball both offensively and defensively. Their only weakness, rebounding. And while Cal is a decent offensive rebounding team, they're not a good defensive rebounding team. But for my best bet here, Cal, I'm going to go Cal team total under 59.5. Cal is number 244 on offensive tempo. Duke presses you on defense. They are number 362 on tempo, which means there's only 4 teams that it takes more time to come down and take your average shot versus the Blue Devils defense. Duke off a loss, Cal, 2 overs, 13 unders. They lock down defense. At home off a loss, 0-7 over under, and they're holding their opponents team total 8 points per game under what the team total is. When Cal is a dog or a favorite of -6 with a total of 139 or higher, they are 3-12 over under. And with traditional rest, that's 3 days or less, the Bears, 9 straight unders, and those games have gone under by 10 points per game. It is a low team total at 59.5, but with this Cal offense and this Duke defense fired up off a loss, this is an actual client release that you're receiving here for free.
I love that. We're going to fade one of the worst shooting teams in the country here in Cal. Ralph, I like that. Digging deep, looking for a team total instead of laying the chalk here with the Blue Devils. As you mentioned, we're going over the SEC. Did you see some of the kind of hype surrounding the SEC conference in basketball, right? Like, they look good, but in true SEC fashion, it's not quite top to bottom here. There's the haves and the have-nots, the Alabamas, the Floridas, the Kentucky, Tennessees. There's not a lot of middle ground. And this Missouri team, I cannot for the life of me get correct. Like, when I say I cannot get correct, I'm talking, I think I'm 0-4 betting against them. But Oklahoma has been the bane of my existence since SEC play started. Every freaking time I have an excuse, and I'm like, all right, I got a real rationale. I got a reason to back Oklahoma here. And what do? They cannot play a complete game. I liked the hire of Porter Moser when it happened, and boy, did they look good until literal SEC play. Now all they do is turn the ball over. They cannot get a board to save their lives. I don't know what to do with this game. I actually wish this game just wouldn't air, because that's how wrong I've been about both of these teams.
Well, I'm going to start this off, Kelly, by saying, if I came on here and say, I'm going to back Missouri. Why? Because they're a good team, a win percentage over 70%. They're off a loss as a home favorite. They actually have double revenge against Oklahoma. Now, if I said all those things to you, you would say, I agree with you, Ralph. That's a good bet. But that's why we go to the database. Now, I'm still going to lean Missouri. Don't get me wrong, but it's important to know what the numbers are that you're betting into. Teams that I told you about, Kelly, win percentage over 70% in February, so it's later in the season, playing with double revenge, off a loss as a whole favorite. How shocked would you be if I told you the ATS record is 11-30, 27%? So You cannot have preconceived notions that you think a team is off a loss as a home favorite and have revenge, and that is just a reason to play them. Understand what you're betting into. Now, with that said, Missouri averaged 52% shooting in the 5 games previous to their back-to-back losses. And while they lost back-to-back games against Auburn and Tennessee, they shot 33 and 32%. Those defenses are number 1 and number 6 in the country with the Ken Palm ratings. I'm a big fan of Dennis Gates. I love what he did at Cleveland State. In 3 years, he turned that team around. He took them to a championship level type team in the Horizon League. And here's his quote. The ironic thing about this conference, you can play well in almost a perfect game and still lose. That's how good this conference is. We lost the last 2 games by a total of 7 points to 2 top 10 teams, one on a last-second 3-point shot. How much better do you want my guys to play? That's a very confident statement that I think they're going to take away from these 2 losses. You look at the Sooners. Yeah, the Sooners started 13-0, Kel, but they played the number 316th weakest schedule in college basketball in non-conference action. That's why they're 3-7 in conference play. When I also look at Oklahoma, they've only played, this is only their 5th true road game. They're 1-4 as a dog of +4 or higher. So this is an entirely different dynamic. It's also only the 2nd time this year that they are facing a team that is off a loss at home. So now you have an angry team playing Oklahoma where they've had a very favorable schedule up until this point. But this is one where I broke down first half and full game numbers. And Kelly, the start to the show when you were talking about teams not playing the first halves or playing the full game, Missouri is only 7-8 against the spread as a home favorite, but they're 11-4 in the first half. At home with a total in this range above 150, they're only 6-4 against the spread, but they're 9-1 ATS in the first half. And after a loss, only 2-3 straight up, 4-1 in the first half. As a home favorite of -8 or more, they're 0-6 this season since last November. But again, 4-2 in the first half. I think this number is very cheap. Missouri -5 first half, despite what I told you at the beginning. So as long as you're aware of what the record is, it's a very small sample size over a very long period of time, so it doesn't happen very often. But I do like Missouri here. I'm going to give out best bet first half -5 for the show.
All right, Ralph, I'm going to cheer for you and not bet this because I don't want to mush you. When I say I have been dead wrong about both of these teams, I will not be getting involved. I'll be looking at St. John's second half and maybe South Carolina there for myself. We'll see if I end up getting to the window. All right, Ralph, I mentioned earlier in the show that right now we are running a site-wide promo, $239, get you 30 days all access from your favorite WagerTalk handicapper. If somebody wanted to purchase that from you, what should they be expecting over the next 30 days?
Well, you know, it's going to take you through conference tournaments, which I absolutely love. I actually think there's more value, Kelly, in conference tournaments than there is March Madness. I've had great success in March Madness, but the conference tournaments, when you get those back-to-back games and you have those better coaches being able to make better adjustments, it's something I always look forward to. The NBA doing well. I did drop a 5% last night on my $5 play. That was on Creighton. They had a halftime lead and blew it, but I did go 2-1. But under $8 a day for the next 30 days of NBA, college basketball, and the NHL. Head to my page, wt.buzz/R.